In this video, we are going to have a look at the cage made by Nitze for the Feelworld F6 Plus monitor. Kia, good morning everyone, Richard here. Welcome back to the channel. You may have remembered a little while ago I did a review of the Feelworld F6 Plus monitor. So this is a very affordable monitor and I myself actually use it more than my Atomos Ninja 5 because there are a couple of features I really like about this monitor, and recently they have a new firmware upgrade and they added some more feature that was not even available when I did the review. But anyway, today's review is not really about this monitor, but it's something very similar because a company called Nitze, they recently contacted me and they asked me if I'm interested in trying out the monitor cage that they designed for the Feelworld F6 Plus monitor. They said they can send me a sample if I want to try it out, and as usual I tell them if I want to do a review, I want to be honest to my viewer. I want to tell them the things I like and I don't like. So are they okay with that? Because some company would tell me that no, I want you to do a very positive review, and they reply and say sure, no problem, because they believe I will love their product. So that's a very good sign because it seems they are very confident about their product. So about a week or so later, I received a box here. So this is the Nitze F6 Plus monitor cage kit for this monitor. I have to say the first impression wasn't the best. The box doesn't look too fancy, it looks pretty simple. But okay, let's open the box and what's inside here. So they have actually released two different cage for the Feelworld F6 Plus. They are basically the same one, but this one is a kit which includes the cage itself, and then also there is a the hood, the sunshade for the cage, and then it has the mounting bracket, which is for the monitor to mount onto the hot shoe mount or another cage. And then there are also a couple of screws and the hex key, which is for you to mount the cage onto the monitor or onto your camera. And actually here, if you look at its side, the cage also comes with the HDMI clamp that's for you to secure the HDMI cable. So okay, let's put the box one side and talk about the cage itself. Now the cage is made of anodized aluminum metal. It's very nice quality, it looks very nice and it feels very strong, and it's also very lightweight as well. Oh, one thing I want to quickly mention is in case you just randomly click into this link and you don't know what is a cage and why people want to buy a cage. So there are normally two major reasons why people want to have a cage for their monitor or for their camera. The first one is to give some extra protection because as you can see, the cage is made of metal. It is very solid, very strong. So use it to put it around your camera or the accessory. It gives you a very good physical protection for your camera gear. And the second reason is probably the more important reason is with the cage, you have a lot of mounting holes all the way around the cage, so that allowed you to attach other accessory very easily and also very securely to your camera or to the camera monitor in this case. So that's the two reasons why you may want to buy a cage for your camera or for your monitor. Okay, anyway, let's come back and talk about this cage itself. So yeah, as I mentioned, there are many different mounting holes at the top, on the side, and underneath here. One thing I really like is that all, apart from one of the mounting points, they all support the area locating pin. So if you use a mounting accessory that use the area locating pin, like the mounting bracket that comes with this kit, then you would have the anti-twisting mechanism to stop your attached accessory from rotating or unscrewing itself. To install the cage onto your monitor is very easy. Basically just put the monitor inside the cage, and then you can see there is a mounting hole at the top and then one at the bottom, and you just get the two screws that separate and use the hex key and tighten it up. So only take like 10 seconds to mount it onto the monitor, and once you lock the 2 screws, and you find that it's very secure onto the cage, there is pretty much no play at all, and it just feels very solid. With the cage installed, you still have access to all the input and output ports and also the button on the monitor. And then the next thing you probably want to do is to install and secure the HDMI cable onto the monitor. As I mentioned before, this bracket here which allow you to secure the HDMI cable onto the monitor, because one thing that I always have problem is that when you attach HDMI cable to your camera or the monitor, the cable, it just doesn't feel secure at all. You just feel like you can wiggle it a little bit and then you become more and more loose. Even with the full-size HDMI connector like the one on the F6 Plus, I found that if I bump it a few times and then the connector will start loosen a little bit. So it's always a very good idea to have something that help you securely lock the HDMI cable onto the device. So first thing is just loosen up the screw a little bit. There are 2 screws on the side of the bracket here, and then the 2 screws that mount the bracket onto the cage. So using the supplied Allen key, and then you can loosen it up, and after you loosen it, then you can move this front and back a little bit. Depends on what sort of HDMI cable you're using, you may have to adjust it a bit so that it can fit onto the device. And actually I had problem with one of my HDMI cable when I first received it, because the way that it comes in, the screws were mounted in the way that no matter how I adjust the bracket, I just cannot fit the HDMI cable onto it. So in the end, what I did is I took out the bracket and I reversed the screws on the bracket and then turn the bracket around. Then that allowed me to lock the cable onto the bracket very securely. So you tighten up the 2 screws at the top here, and then you tighten up the screws here a little bit more, so the HDMI cable should be very securely locked onto the monitor. It shouldn't move at all, no matter how you put it. Ideally, I would love the HDMI bracket to have a little bit more travel, just in case you have a HDMI cable with a very thick connector, or your connector, the shape is a little bit asymmetrical, just slightly thicker on one side and the other side. So if the bracket has a little bit more travel, then that shouldn't be a problem even if you have a very thick connector on your HDMI cable. What you do next is to use this mounting bracket that comes with the kit, and the mounting bracket is a very nice bracket. The quality seems very good, and it uses the airy locating pin. That means when you mount it onto the cage, the locating pin will stop you from being able to rotate the mounting bracket accidentally. Okay, next let's mount it onto the camera. Now ideally you would also want to have a cage for the camera, because that's the most secure way for you to mount the cage on the camera. But I don't have a cage for the Panasonic S1, so now I just directly mount it onto the horseshoe mount, which is okay if you don't mount a lot of accessory onto your monitor. But if you want to mount a few accessory onto the monitor, it's best if you also get a cage so that you just mount this cage onto the camera cage directly. But let's just directly mount it onto the horseshoe mount for now. Alright, and then I secured it. And now I can adjust the angle of the monitor. I can tilt it forward, or I can tilt it backwards, or I can also tilt it sideways if I want to. It feels very solid, and it feels very smooth and very secure. So that is definitely very good. But actually, when I first received the cage, and when I put a bigger battery, put my biggest battery onto the monitor, which is this one, and when I did that, and I found that when I tilt the monitor to more than 45 degrees, and then the mounting bracket actually was starting to slowly just slide down and go down slowly and slowly. This was not a problem when I have a small battery like this one mounted on it, but when I have my biggest battery, I have the problem. So I contact Nitze and tell them about the problem that I had, and they tell me that, oh, it's actually very easy. So what I need to do is just need to tighten up the screw. Which one is it? Oh, the screw here, just using the provided hex key. And once I tighten it up a little bit, and now the mounting bracket now is super solid, even with this big battery here, and even if I tilt it down to like 60 degrees or so, and it still stayed very secure and very solid. So yeah, that is not really a problem. If you bought a cage and find that it start sliding down, either way, when you put a heavy load on it, just tighten up a little bit. But having said that, I would really prefer if Nitze they actually tighten up that screw a little bit more before they ship out the cage to the customer, because if they do that, when the customer receives the cage and put a battery like this one here, and they won't have the same problem as me, and they don't have to figure out that there's actually a way to tighten up the bracket. Anyway, apart from that little complaint, I really like this mounting bracket that comes with this monitor cage. It looks very nice and it feels very nice and very solid, especially after I tighten up the mounting bracket once. The cage also comes with this detachable sunshade to attach it onto the monitor. Is very easy. The Velcro's on the top and the side of it, so you just need to put the Velcro through the hole at the top here, and then just stick it onto here and do the same thing to both sides. And once you've done that, then the sunshade fits very securely onto the monitor. You may wonder why you need the sunshade. Isn't that the F6 Plus originally also comes with a sunshade? Yeah, the F6 Plus does come with a sunshade, this one here. But if you compare the sunshade that comes with the monitor to the one that comes with the cage, there are a couple of big differences. The first thing is this is a lot smaller than the one that comes with the cage, and the second thing is that the way how you secure it onto the monitor compared to the one that comes with the cage, this one is a lot more securely attached to the monitor, while this one, it feels slightly not so secure. And also the original sunshade is also a lot more softer, while the Nitze one feel a lot more solid. This is definitely a very good upgrade compared to the original sunshade, especially for people who need to shoot outside under the bright sunlight quite regularly. This is the first time that I use a Nitze product. While there are a few things that I think Nitze can improve in the future, but overall it does give me a very positive first time experience. The cage itself is very nice, it's very lightweight, and it feels very solid, and it feels perfectly onto the F6 Plus monitor. I really like the mounting bracket. It also feels very secure, and in a lot of ways I think it's better than the mounting bracket that I've used from some of the competitors in the market. And I can now see why Nitze they are quite confident when I tell them that I want to do a honest review about their product, because it is actually a very solid product, and the price is also very reasonable as well, consider the number of accessories that comes with this kit. I hope you guys enjoyed this review and found it informative, and if you have any question about this cage, please feel free to drop a comment below and I will try my best to answer you as soon as possible. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I will see you in my next video.